And welcome to the GBU Live Campus View Club for the Jeff Capel Show, a day before the basketball. Pitt and West Virginia, 8 o'clock right here at the Peterson Events Center. Jeff, first couple of weeks, 3-0, congrats.
Thank you.
What are you learning about your group here through the first couple of games?
Yeah, well, I think we've done a lot of really good things. We've shown that we can be a good offensive team. We can do it in an efficient manner. We've shown that we can be a good defensive team. The thing that we need to do is to be both of those things more consistently. We need to be able to sustain it. In every game that we've played, whether it was the scrimmage against Cincinnati, the exhibition against Point Park, and then the 3 games that we've played, we've had a pretty big lead at some point in all of them, and then it's like we let up. And that's where to be the team I think we can be and that we say we want to be, that's where we have to take the next step and to be able to sustain really, really good play all the time.
Is that uncommon for a team?
It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. I think it's a lot of factors that go into it. Number one, you have to learn how to play with a lead and to be mature. Sometimes when you get a big lead, you have a tendency to allow human nature to creep in and to take the best of you. And so you let up a little bit. It could be something as simple as, this block out isn't as important. This rotation, maybe, we got a 16-point lead. Like, I can rest a second this time. So we have to be better there. We have to get more out of our bench, like when our bench guys come in. And this is all things I've told them because they're good players, but we have to be able to get them more experience with that. And those guys being able to come in and, have an understanding of what it is that we're doing, that we need, things that we've talked about in scouting, and be able to execute those at a high level.
You've had a tradition with 6 men in the ACC. Does that help you in that, where players can see what impact you can make off the bench?
I think so. I hope so. Look, all of our guys, man, they've had unbelievable attitudes. I mean, they want to be good. They work, all of those things. It's just about the habits. That's what we're trying to create right now. We're trying to build and create these habits that are sustainable and that they understand the level that we have to be at all the time. Our returning guys have a good idea, and even some of our new guys, Cam and Dame, because they're old, like this is their first time with us, but they've played. They have a really good understanding of it. The other part is being able to play through fatigue. That's the other part, being able to really fight through being tired. We have a couple of guys, Dame and Cam in particular, that last year they played, but they didn't play a lot of minutes. I think Dame played 18 minutes a game. Cam played 18 minutes a game. I'm not sure what Dame did, but it's very different. 18 minutes and 28, 30 minutes, that's a big difference. And so that's one of the things for me that I've tried to get to learn is how long can those guys play and sustain the level that we need them to play with.
And spread out those fouls.
And spread out the fouls. If you think about Cam's fouls, a lot of them come when he's tired. Because it's like I'm a foul. Like I'm so tight. And so being able to fight and have the discipline and push through all of those things.
When we saw Ish, you would see pockets of scoring where he really could get it going. But it seems different. It's 3 games. I know it's a small sample size, but what have you noticed from him offensively just through the offseason and into the first couple of games?
Well, one of the things we talked about with him at the end of the season last year and throughout the spring and the summer is becoming more efficient offensively. We talked to him about that when we recruited him. We thought that's something that coming here, he could still be a really good player, but do it in a more efficient manner. He averaged around 15, 16 points at Rhode Island, but his percentages were not great. When you did a deep dive, you understood his team, wasn't very good. So some of the shots he took were a little bit more challenged. He was the top guy there. It's very different. Last year's team, we needed him to be good, but we needed his experience because we was going to have 2 freshmen, and so that's what you talked about in the spurts. I think what he really worked on this summer, number one, having the experience of playing at this level last year, I think has helped him. He really, really worked on catch and shoot threes. When we talked to him in the spring and the summer, a lot of times Ish was a guy they went under on ball screens because they knew he wanted to get to the basket, and he was an inconsistent shooter. And so he's really done a good job of that. Like, he's really, really worked on that. One of the things that I love, and this is consistent with all the guys on our team, but even though he's had success, and it's really the first five because the exhibition game and the scrimmage, he played very well. And also, he hasn't changed his routine. And he gets in here early. He stays after. Sometimes, when you have success, there's a tendency where I can let up a little bit. I love the fact that he hasn't done that. Again, our other guys haven't done that. But it's been really cool to see him play at such a high level.
Is he the kind of guy that wants a challenge?
He definitely wants a challenge. Ish is incredibly competitive. He's very mindful of who he is as a player, the things that he needs to work on. It's been really awesome to watch him and Jaland, those two guys especially, but we're talking about Ish now, to watch them find their voice as leaders, and then to see the respect that they have in that locker room. That's not something that we certainly take for granted. That respect is earned because those guys see, number one, how they work every day, but number two, they're also really, really good guys, and that helps. When you have those two things, when they see you work, they know that you're good, but then you're a really good teammate. That helps the whole core group.
It's the Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers radio network. Is there a sample size of games where you have a good feeling, or is it just ever evolving with your team?
I think it's always evolving. I try to look at things, with our team, in like 5-game stretches. I think you can get a pretty good idea of who you are at that moment, up to that point, and then figuring out, okay, here are the things we need to work on. Obviously, I look at it right now, we have a 5-game stretch because we had the exhibition, the scrimmage, and then the games we've played so far. I think I have an understanding of who we are right now, but our schedule is about to get more challenging. And so we'll find out more as we go forward with West Virginia. I think 5 of our next 6 are against high major teams. Now, that's exciting.
And a number of those on the road.
The one against West Virginia is the only one here. It's the only home game. And so we'll find out a lot about ourselves over the next 6 games.
We saw Emsel for the first time.
Yeah.
The thing that struck me is I'm thinking, all right, European guy, he's just going to sit back there. His first really solid play was an assist.
Yep.
Does he see the court? Is he a better basketball player than maybe the image of a guy from Europe who just shoots threes?
Yeah, one of the things that we liked about him that we were impressed with is I think he has a really good feel for how to play. He can shoot, but he has a really good feel for how to play. He can see things. He can see things developing, and that's where that first pass came from. He caught it in the corner. He saw Cam was open and was able to, what we call, throw him open, to throw it in a place where he could go right and score it, where he didn't even have to make a move. He had another pass in the second half that was a really good pass, but we weren't ready for it. And so I think it caught the guys a little bit by surprise with that.
Because they haven't had a lot of time with him.
They haven't played with him. I mean, he hasn't been on the court in a month as far as playing basketball. He had a couple days where he was able to play before that game. So it was great to have him out there. He's a little bit rusty. He's a lot of rusty. And that's going to, get better with more game experience.
All right, coming up here on the Jeff Capel Show, Jaland Lowe is here. We're going to talk with Jaland, get a little feel about what his expectations, what he feels where his game has come in this past year. And a reminder, coming up at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Pitt, West Virginia, right here at the Peterson Event Center. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Go back to the GVU Life Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. Jeff Hathorn joined by Jaland Lowe. And, Jaland, there's a lot of things about your game that I'm jealous of, like things I wish I could do, the scoop, the defense. But the thing I'm most jealous of is that hair, man. Like, how do you decide what the combination, how do you take care of that?
I mean, going into this year, I just want to try something new. But right now I'm rocking with the cornrows right now. We'll see as the season goes on what different hairstyles I got, but right now I'm staying with the cornrows.
Now, that's not a superstitious thing where you might change it up?
Nah, no superstitious thing.
All right.
Just what I'm feeling.
What do you like about this team this year?
I love how versatile we are. We have a lot of different guys with a lot of experience in every aspect. So, with these guys, we can show a little bit of everything. And that's what a great team needs. That's what, we're predicated on. And that's what will help us, just win basketball games this year.
So when so many guys can do so many things, what's that like at practice?
I mean, it's very fun because you get to see a little bit of everything. It's very competitive. Nothing's the same. You got a lot of different guys that can just do a little bit of everything. So you can see a whole bunch of different combinations and different moves and see how a lot of things work, which will help us prepare for, seeing any team that we play against.
Now having a year under your belt, as you prepared for this year, what were some of the things that you learned that you wanted to make sure you worked on heading into this season?
I really just wanted to learn what my role would be this year so I could just prepare myself for whatever my team needs. Just going back home, putting on weight, just sharpening my game in every aspect, and also just, trying to be knowledgeable of how to be a better leader just for this team, because I know that that's what I have to be this year in order to, help my team out and win.
So how do you lead?
I lead. I'm a vocal leader. I go out there, try and, make sure my voice is heard. I try and go out there and also just be a leader by example, by showing guys how things are supposed to be done. So, I try and do a little bit of everything so I can just be the best leader and person I could be.
So there's some psychology in there, too, if you're leading, right? Because some guys, you got to know when to talk to, when to leave alone. Like, do you have to figure that stuff out as well about your teammates?
Yeah, for sure. Different guys learn and listen in different ways, and that's just for everybody in life. But, once you get really close to your guys, you get to figure that out. And, day by day, you get to just, see how different guys take different, judgment, things like that. So I definitely gotten to learn my teammates enough to know how to talk to them.
Do you joke around with them?
Yeah, no doubt. I got to.
Are you the joker, or who's the guy that's going to get somebody to laugh? Because we heard Blake did that a lot. There have been other guys. Do you take that role, or?
A little bit. I'd say the main guy for that is probably Zach Austin.
Really?
That guy's he's a comedian for sure. He's hilarious.
Seriously?
Yep.
How so? Like imitations?
He does a little bit of everything. You know? Just he's just out there having fun. Always just being that talkative person that just wants to crack a joke here every now and then. But Zach's the guy that you look on to be that kind of funny person.
All right, you're one of the leaders on the team. You see the team's like it's just a bad practice. The energy's low. What can you do to help the team be better, get where you need to be?
Just trying to be more uplifting, try and show and lead by example of how things should be going, because if there's a bad practice, it's really on your guards. So me and Ish, we got to come together. Try and figure out how we can help better this practice, uplift everybody so we can continue, making everything at a great pace.
You mentioned Ish. How does that relationship with you and Ish work?
I mean, our relationship has grown a lot since last year. We just gotten a lot closer. We know how to balance things off each other a lot easier. So, we look on each other just, dependent at times, giving each other advice, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. And, we know our games a lot, but we just – we've also become a lot better friends off the court, so that helps just naturally.
I don't know if I've ever seen Ish not serious. Like, is he always that serious?
Nah, Ish isn't always that serious, man. Ish is probably one of the biggest jokesters on the team. Yeah, for sure. On that court, this is the type of person he is. He's very serious on that court. He takes his work very seriously, and we love that about him. But off the court, he's the guy you want to be around.
From a defensive standpoint, what do you pick up from him?
I mean, just how hard he plays. He has a knack for, how players – just knowing what moves guys are going to go to, and just using his physicality. He's an older guard, stronger guard also, but the way that he thinks before, a guy makes a certain move or things like that helps him a lot, and I've also trying to learn that off him.
Have you kind of figured out or learned how to anticipate what guys are going to do at this level because of your experience last year?
Yeah, for sure. My experience has definitely helped me, but also just, using film a lot more, using film, That's what I love to do. I love to watch a lot of film. So picking up on tendencies that guys like to do is something that I have to do as a guard and as a defender if you want to try to be the best at it.
When you say you watch film, do you watch film of your guys, your practices? You just checking out any other games? Like, what are you watching?
I do everything. I always watch our practice right after the practice ends, a little bit afterwards when the film is up, and then I go home and I watch countless games. I love watching college games. I also watch NBA games, but college is where I'm at right now, so I tend to focus on that a little bit more. But I'm just a guru of the game. I love watching it.
So you're one of those guys when like a 10 o'clock game comes on, you're like,
yeah, I'm gonna be locked in. Yeah, if it's a good game and I'm looking forward to it, then yeah, I'll be watching it.
Is it individual or team things that you're trying to pick up, or both?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. You always want to learn how to get your team better, pick up on certain things so you can apply it to your team. But even individually wise, just watching your favorite players or just players that are good around the country, other college players, like you can pick up on anything from a bunch of different guys just because of the way they play the game.
You dealt with an injury at the beginning of last season. At what point last year did you think, not that you got this, but like I belong here, I know what I need to do?
Probably. I mean, I knew the whole time. My coaches instilled trust in me and always picked me up when I was feeling down or just didn't feel like myself. But going back home to Houston during Christmas break probably was the point for me. Just seeing my family, being around my brothers, telling them telling me just like, you're good now. Like, come on, pick this thing up. And that's what I tried to do. Not
just with your head coach, but you have a unique situation with 4 coaches that have all been head coach. You work with Milan. He works with the guards. What's that relationship like, and what's he like as a coach?
Coach Brown's great. He's amazing a coach, but he's an amazing person as well. And we look up to him a lot just because of where he's been and what he's done in his coaching career and as a player. So he instills a lot of trust in us, and he helps better our games just as a person, and then also just being able to talk about anything off the court as well. So having coaches like him and the rest of the coaching staff helps tremendously.
There have been some of the former guards that have come in, including Biba's brother, others. How much do they push you and you learn from them when you guys get to see each other in the summer?
I mean, it helps a lot. They push us a lot because those guys have all had a huge piece in Pitt history, and they've all seen winning before. So when we see those guys, we try and pick and try and get any knowledge that they have so we can be better ourselves. And they also just try and just spill over knowledge as much as they can because they're not selfish guys. They want to see everybody win. So having those guys back come over the summer is amazing for us.
What do we need to know about Brandin Cummings?
Man, that's a dog right there. That's somebody that you want on your team every day of the week. But that kid, he's a fun, playful kid as well. We love Biba.
I heard he likes to pick up guys full court. Like, has he tried you?
Yeah, definitely. First day I came in here, he definitely did that, and love him for it because it just makes everybody better at the end of the day.
You've credited some of your scoops and moves to your godfather, John Lucas, who's NBA player, coach. What was that relationship? What did you try to learn? How did you get information from him?
Yeah, I mean, so, that's my godfather. So I was in the gym with him almost every day as a kid. Taught me a lot of what I know. So, being able to learn from him was really great and helped evolve my game a lot just because, he was also a lefty. Spent a couple years in the NBA and was just one of the best guards that I know of all time.
Did you know, when did you know that he was like, dang, this guy's got a resume?
Man, I didn't know for a little bit. He would always, talk about it in the gym every now and then, but I didn't know until I was about, I'd say almost like 10, 12, even though I was in the gym with him.
Just your godfather.
Being around him my entire life. I didn't really know it until, he mentioned in the gym a couple times.
Have you thought back how blessed you are to have that relationship?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm grateful for it every day. Just being able to have, somebody like that in my life is huge, and I'm forever grateful for it.
You're the oldest of 3. So you have 2 younger brothers. They're both basketball players?
Yes, sir.
How are they?
They're great. My middle brother, that's a dog right there. He's the one player I will never want to just go up against in my life because,
really?
he knows all my moves now. He takes pride in that. He's one tough kid, and love that. And the youngest one, he's the flashy one. He tried to steal all the moves from everybody, shooting long threes, celebrations, all that type of thing. So, that just shows a testament who they are.
That's because the youngest one always gets all the attention at the end, gets everything. Yep, that's exactly right. Did you guys have some pretty good games? Like, were your younger brothers hanging on you to want to play against you and challenge you and things like that?
My middle brother does. He's never beat me, never will. I'm going to make that clear. He will never beat me. As Biba knows, as the older brother, we try not to let that happen. But, it's all fun and games, and it's competitive at the end of the day. But, just some things as the older brother you can't let happen.
I mean, you're kind of blessed with FaceTime and stuff like that. Were you guys, do you stay in touch often? Do you talk after games? How do you guys stay in touch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I text my brothers often, and I call them just to lay eyes on them, make sure they're good. Just talk about anything. We don't really try to talk about basketball as much, but if that comes up, then we'll talk about it. But those are my little brothers. I got to check up on them, make sure they're all good back at home.
You're a native of Houston. What was it like growing up there?
It was great. Had a lot of great basketball, great city, great weather. Not much like Pittsburgh right now, but. It was great around in Houston because, we had a lot of, lively things going around, especially sports.
But was that high school scene pretty intense for basketball?
I wouldn't say it was too intense for where I was at, but you would definitely see it on a every other night type basis. So definitely went to some games where it was very packed. Football was a very big thing. So, Friday nights were very big. We
were talking before we started about you remember the Rockets going to the Western Finals. Did that really enhance your love of the game, watching those teams? And what do you remember about, especially that year with Paul and Harden?
I mean, that definitely enhanced my love for the game. Just, seeing that type of environment, seeing those players thrive in those environments, it was super fun. Again, watch Steph Curry, one of my favorite players of all time. And then, James Harden was probably considered one of the best players of all time in that, certain area. So watching those guys play and just being around it all the time was very, very fun.
Did you ever get to go to one?
Yeah, I did. I did get to go. I went to a couple Rockets games. I went to quite a few just because my godfather was allowed me able to go. But I definitely went to one of the conference finals games, and that was one of the best experiences I've had.
Did you ever meet any of them?
Yeah, I've met Chris Paul a couple times now. Went to his camp this past summer. Met James Harden, worked out with him before, and then got to meet Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the locker room afterwards.
So what was that like?
Surreal. I mean, I probably didn't, take advantage of it as I would today just because of how young I was. But, that was one of the greatest moments of my life, just being around those certain players and people who I've looked up to.
All right, I want to ask you, when you were growing up, what was the best Steelers win over the Texans? Was it the James Conner 12-yard touchdown run? Maybe it was 34-7 when the Steelers won. I think T.J. Yates was your quarterback. Or maybe when Roethlisberger threw for like 265 back in 14.
Yeah. Y'all have had some pretty good wins on us. A lot of wins on us. But,
Notice I didn't bring up the most recent one.
Yeah, it's fine. We're rebuilding right now. We're doing really good. I'm loving where my team is at.
Hey, what's best play in the game? Big steal? Crossover to the hoop? Deep three, or killer assist?
I'd probably say just from me, I love an assist, especially one that just looks a lot better than the normal one. I love making assists. Just as a guard, that's what I thrive on. That's what I love to do.
All right, it's been good talking to you.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Jaland.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you joining us. Coming up, we're going to be joined by Brandin Cummings as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. It's the GBU Live Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. Jeff Hathorn on the Jeff Capel Show. We're joined by Brandin Cummings, but it's not Brandin. It's Biba, right?
Biba. Yeah, that's a name I had since I was a little boy. It started, my grandma, I think, if I remember the story right, my grandma used to call me B-Boy. And I think it eventually just transitioned from B-Boy to just Biba. They kind of shortened a little bit being lazy, but Biba stuck, and I'm here today with it.
So we're talking about you. Biba is the name. That's
Biba,
what you want
yeah.
fans to say. Hey,
Biba's the name.
All right. That's cool. That's cool. Now, were you guys always a tight family?
Yeah, always. I mean, I basically halfway grew up in my grandma's house. It would be I'd stay at my dad's house, stay at my mom's house, stay at my grandma's house. Like I was close with everybody.
That's awesome. And you said you grew up like you could walk to Lincoln Park.
Yeah, I mean, Midland is a really, really, really small town, very small community. So anybody who lives in Midland is walking distance from the school.
So here you are with Jaland, a Houston guy. Like, what do you tell him about what your hometown was like?
I know it was nothing like Houston. I mean, we don't really got much. We got a Subway and a Dairy Queen, and that's as far as our options go.
But you don't have to worry about there's no rush hour traffic.
I mean,
there's none of that.
Even if there was, everything is walking distance. So you don't even got to take your car.
Do you have a stoplight?
There's stoplights. There's
all right.
Stoplights, but very small town.
That's more than where I grew up. Hey, you've been around the program for a couple of years, and obviously your brother playing here. What about the program that you saw from afar, and when you got here, is it much different, or is it pretty much exactly what you expected?
I mean, I feel like the culture is going to be the culture regardless. You know, Coach Cape, he likes to build his teams off of toughness, and Pittsburgh is known for toughness. And I feel like my brother's team were very tough. They were very old. Last year's team also very tough. This year's team very tough. So, you know, not really much change, but you know, we like to keep that tradition of toughness.
We hear about your toughness.
Right.
Do you pride yourself on that?
Yeah, that's just how I was raised. You know, growing up in the house that I grew up in, and especially in the town that I grew up in, you can't really survive unless you're tough. So, you know, going outside, you know, you see some things, you got to be tough, and that just translates on the basketball court.
Coach Capel has told us that you enjoy taking the other, you know, whoever it is, you want to take them one-on-one. You want to test yourself. Is that something that also comes from where you grew up? Yeah,
but I give a big part of that to my dad. You know, that's just how he raised me. You know, you see somebody in front of you, you want to be better than that person in front of you. You know, you always compete. He always tells me just go out there and be the toughest player on the floor, and everything takes care of itself.
I mean, you're dealing with college men now. Right. Like, how do you learn from the times where it doesn't go your way?
You gotta get back up, keep fighting. Like I said, no matter who's in front of you, you know, you gotta give them all you got. So you gotta be tough. That's it.
Is it true there's not a shot you don't like?
Definitely no shots that I don't like. As soon as I cross half court, I feel like I can make that shot. That's just me.
Do you restrain yourself, especially as a freshman?
I do. Sometimes I take a messed up shot and I get cussed out by Kate for it, but you know, that's just how it works.
You're 3 games into your season, 4 if you include the exhibition game. What stuck out to you about what college has been like so far?
Just everybody's good. That's the biggest thing for me. Like, no matter what team you play, these are grown men, these are college kids. Everybody can hoop. You know, as opposed to high school, like, you may play some teams that you go into the game knowing, like, oh, we're probably going to win this game by 60 points. Like, college, everybody's good. Everybody knows what they're doing. Coaches are really good. And you got to go out there and you have to compete 100% every night.
Of course, one of those teams whose heart you broke is Hampton, and now Liam is one of your teammates.
Right. Liam's a really good player. Played for a really good school in Hampton. Had a nice player alongside him. You know, he gave us a lot of problems in high school. I mean, the kid's 6'10", big. Our big man, 6'1", football player. You know, he was really good at what he did, but, you know, you put him up against somebody who's 6'10", you know, there's only so much he can do. But to have Liam on the team now, you know, is really fun to talk to him about the times we played, and I can kind of brag a little bit and say, yeah, I had 25 in the first we won by 30.
In this building.
So.
Right.
Yeah, so it's nice to have him on the team, though.
Yeah, but it's cool because you got somebody that you have shared experiences. Right?
He's played against the same teams I've played against from the same area, so, you know, it's nice to have that.
We're joined by Biba Cummings, younger brother of Nellie Cummings. So what was that like?
I mean, Nellie is – obviously, this is a biased response, but Nellie is the best big brother you could ever ask for. Like, I mean, even now, like, he's doing everything he can, everything in his power to make sure that I'm the best version of myself. And, you know, there's times where he's, you know, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, but he's making sure that he's contacting me and, you know, making sure that I'm okay. My mental state is okay. You know, I'm out there hooping. But growing up with him, he always pushed me to be better than him, and I think that's really important. That he wants his little brother to be better than all of us. So, you know, I love Nelly, and I really appreciate everything he's done for me.
That's cool because sometimes older brothers can be it's tougher because they don't want you around. They just want to do their thing. But he was very accepting.
Yeah, very accepting. Obviously, he was really tough on me. Like he never let me win a
Well,
game.
that's just
against
part
him.
of it.
That's just
Yeah.
part of it. But he always wanted me to be better than him, and I really appreciate that.
Did you ever beat him?
I did. He won't admit it to you. Like if you ask him, he won't admit it. But I beat him one time. He was trying to act like he wasn't playing, and I made one of my crazy contested shots to win the game, and he tried to act like it wasn't real, but it was.
So how did you react?
Because I was telling him the whole game I'm going to beat him, and I beat him, and I was like, I told you, like you can be as mad as you want, but I'm about to go tell everybody I just beat you.
Where did that happen?
It was at the YMCA in Calcutta, that's in Ohio. So that's where we worked out all of our lives.
So there's a plaque there now. This is where I beat my brother.
If I could put a plaque there, I promise you there'd be one.
What do you remember about that season? Him coming to Pitt, and then that whole magical run that came with that season.
It was surreal, like just being a part of it. Being the little brother of the starting point guard, so I had an inside scoop on everything that was going on. The start of the season really wasn't ideal. There were a lot of games that, didn't go our way at all. But to see Nelly, to see Coach Cape, to see the whole entire staff, the group come together and, have the season that they ended up having, it was just like, yeah, that's who I want to play for, Cape.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that kind of fortify, like, you're watching it all, how they're handling the ups and downs, and you thought that's a guy I could play for?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, Coach of the Year, like he's the one for sure.
How many games do you think you went to of your brothers?
I don't even know if I can answer that question. Like over half of them for sure.
Which is like tens to probably hundreds of games that you went. What's the best trait you think you got from your brother?
That's a great question. It's probably just resiliency, to be able to overcome adversity and still be yourself. He's went through a lot in his life. His freshman year didn't go the way he wanted it to go. He was in a really tough spot, but, he ended up having an amazing career, and that's just resiliency to me. And I feel like, I do my best to do that. So that's definitely the trait for sure.
I would imagine you were probably recruited by West Virginia. What is playing West Virginia going to be like for you? You know the history of Pitt versus West Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, being from the area, you know what it is. You know what the Backyard Brawl is all about. And Pitt and West Virginia fans, they don't really get along too well. But to be watching it and watch my brother playing it for years, watching it for years, and actually be here playing in it, it's just like I haven't really processed it yet. But after the game, I'm probably going to be like, yo, that's crazy. I just played in the Backyard Brawl.
You guys feel like you're ready for it?
1,000%. We're always ready. We stay ready.
Good answer. Biba, thanks so much. We appreciate you joining us. There is a new member of the Pitt basketball team that was signed today. We're going to talk about him with Jeff Capel as we continue on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. We are at the GBU Live Campus View Club, and by 25 hours from now, this place is going to be hopping up here with the Backyard Brawl. We're going to talk about that coming up. Jeff, you signed a new player today, Amari Witherspoon, 6'4" guard. What can you tell us about him?
Well, we're really excited about him. He's a guy that got on our radar last year as a junior. I really started, watching him in June and was really, really impressed with him. When I saw him in July, he was even better. He's a guy that's a late bloomer that's just gotten better and better. And unbelievable kid, tough, competitive, upside. I think he's about 6'5" now because he was tall on the official visit. Long arms, a really, really good defender. I think he has a chance to be an elite defender, and he's just a gym rat. And so he's a guy that we felt like fit us, who he is as a young man. His family's amazing. And we felt like we were a great fit for him. And same high school as Ish. So, there's a toughness there because Ish has that toughness. And so we're really, really excited about him.
How do you find a late bloomer? Because I'm sure you have hundreds of names that you're looking at. How do you Like, does somebody tell you that you see somebody? Maybe you're watching a game and you see somebody else in a game. Like, how do you find these guys?
Well, my staff does an unbelievable job in that area. The DMV, Milan Brown, recruits that area a lot. We all do, but he spends a lot of time down there. And there's so many really good players down there. And you get to watch these kids early, and he just kept saying, like, I think he has a chance. Like, I think he'll get to our level. Like, I like him. I think he's going to get to our level. And he was the one that built the relationship first. And then by the time I started going to see him, it was really in the spring, so it was in April, where I saw him first, and I saw him in June out, when we could go out, and saw him in July. So Milan had established the relationship and got us in there. And then when I saw him, I saw all the things that Milan had been saying. I saw the size. I saw him with his AAU team where he handled the ball more. And he just kept getting better and better. And then the more information you get when you talk to his coaches, AAU high school coaches, you find out he's a gym rat. When you talk to people at the school, people that train him, they talk about what an amazing kid he is. For training sessions, he was never late. He was always on time. He was early. Like all of those things. They talked about how his work ethic is. He doesn't run away from the work. Those are all things that we think fit us. And that's why I think the upside is there for him to continue to get better.
So you talk to all kinds of people to find out about these kids.
We try to talk to as many people as we can that come in contact with the kid, because it's really important for me, especially knock on wood, after the first 4 years that we had here, where, we had some missteps, and that's on me. But we try to find out as much as we can. We try to vet. We try to ask questions. It's not an exact science. You don't always get it right. But we try to ask as many questions as we can and talk to as many people to find out about the kid.
All right, coming up tomorrow at 8 o'clock here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network is Pitt, West Virginia. We're going to talk about that as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Basketball, it will be the same uniforms that you will see from West Virginia, but the team, coaching staff, it's entirely different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't think they have a returning player, anyone that we played against last year, that's playing this year. I think there's one kid that's back that's redshirting, and I think there's another one that I heard maybe is playing football. And so it's a very different team, but they have a really good coach who did a really good job in the portal, and he brought one kid with him from Drake and a couple of other high school kids. They played very, very well in their first two games against Robert Morris and against UMass. They dominated Robert Morris right from the beginning. They jumped out to a 30-2 lead. And then they had a huge lead also against UMass. And it'd be very different stylistically from what a lot of people are used to seeing from West Virginia. In the past, you saw these teams that were just big, physical, strong, rugged. They're strong. They do have a level of physicality because they play very hard. It's just not the big, rugged, strong, older guys that you once had. But they play really hard. They're really good offensively, and they're well coached.
Is this one of those games that you want to keep going as long as you're here?
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, obviously, I understand the rivalry, have great respect for it. The proximity, it's two high major teams. They're in a great conference that, we think could help us, with having a game against a Big 12 team, and just what it means for the fans of both places. So we're excited about it. I think we just signed on for 4 more years. He may feel like I felt, DeVries may feel like I felt when I first got here, like, you sign on for it, you're a new coach. Maybe he doesn't want, I don't know, but, we're excited about it. I have a great respect for all traditions and all rivalries, and this is a huge one in college basketball.
Jeff, thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks to Jaland Lowe and Biba Cummings, to Andy Lindberg, Joel Nelson, Matt Plizga, and our technical director, Allison Rubin. It is the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.